Again, my name is Dennis. I've been a physical therapist for about 40 years, which just means I'm really old. And been in performance enhancement for about 25 years as well. So my goal today is really to be as simple as I can be and not get too technical, and to really give you something that you can take home to use, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about the muscles that we're using and kind of follow up on just what Jonas has talked about, how the nutrition is so important, because what that is doing is just fueling your muscles. And so there's a lot of research out there as far as what muscles are used when in the cycle. The important thing is just to realize that they all need to be in balance, and they all need to be strong, and they all need to be stretched. And so not to get too technical, but to try to keep it as simple as possible, I kind of tried to put together just a list of the most muscles that are used in cycling, okay? And in case, anybody, we're just going to make it very simple. Glutes, you know what that is? Okay, quads is the front of your legs. Those are really your two power muscles that are going to really power your cycling. You got your hamstrings, which are the back of the thighs, and those are the ones that are going to bend your knee and pull your knee around the rotation. Gastrocnemius is your calf. And then like Jonas talked about the core, we really often think the core is just your abdominals. The core is really mid-thigh and to chest level. So all those muscles that are involved in that is really your core, okay? But for this presentation, we're talking core, kind of more abdominals, lower back, okay? Rectus spinae is a term up here, and again, that's just your lower back muscles. Again, like Dennis was talking about how that's so important, just in the position you're in. And that's something that is really, really important is all these muscles are affected by your position in your cycle, okay? Whether you're down in the handlebars or you're up higher. And the importance of a bike fit, you'll have a really good bike fit, that's really super important because the position of your bike is going to also determine how effective or efficient your muscles are performing. Does that make sense? Okay. If you have any questions along the way, please just interrupt me. Okay. The triceps and the pecs, the triceps being the back of the arms, chest being, pecs being chest. That's just for stabilization. Again, if you're more on a mountain bike, trail riding, or gravel riding, those are going to come into play a little more because you just got to be able to make it like the handlebars possible. Okay, so we're talking more about performance and we're talking about injury prevention. They pretty much go hand in hand, okay? So the better your muscles are, the better your performance can be, and it's like you're going to be injured. As long as you stay on top of the bike and okay. So two types of stretches. Static stretching is the one most people think of, and that's where you stretch a certain muscle in a certain position and you hold it for a long period of time. Okay, that's great to increase your overall flexibility. So if your hamstrings are too tight, and we're going to show you some different stretches to do that, but to increase the length of that muscle, you want to stretch it and hold it for a long period of time. Okay, but the other type of stretching is called dynamic stretching, and that's really stretching on the go. And these are really your pre-ride stretches or pre-run stretches or just pre-activity stretches. You don't hold them for very long. The goal of those is to get that muscle into its stretched position and also to warm that muscle up so that it's ready to ride. Static stretching is great to increase the length, but it's not great for pre-performance activity. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So both of them are really, really important. Your static stretching is going to be done on your own. Any other time than you ride, your dynamics is going to be done before you ride. And I apologize, I made some pictures for you on the dynamics. pictures are pretty poor quality, so sorry about that. So let's just go ahead and we'll just kind of demonstrate some of these. So hopefully you can see. So what do we have on this first? The hamstring stretch. You can do these with, and again, all these exercises, what I did was try to just give you a few basic stretches and strengthening exercises and not just give you, here's an hour worth of exercises to do before. First of all, you won't do them. So the simpler, the quicker they are, the less time they take. And none of these are going to require a lot of expense, which is important. So we use these stretch straps, which are really easy to find. You can also just roll up a towel and use it. Okay? So, can you all see if I lay down? Okay. So for the hamstring stretch, we use a stretch strap like this. And you're just going to lay down. And again, this is your static stretching. So all you're doing is just trying to really, really relax the muscle. And then we're just going to just bring it up and stretch it. Now, how long you hold that just depends. You can hold it for 15 seconds, 30 seconds. You can hold it for 2 minutes. Just depends on the number that you're really going to do. So less time, the more I would do. Everybody see that? Yep. So that's stretching this hamstring muscle again. You want to keep your leg really straight. If you put it on the ball of the foot, it's going to get a little bit more of your calf as well. And again, the idea, like they talked about with just the hamstring shortening, it's just going to have a lot of play on not only injuries, but just again, your performance of not only the hamstring, but also the other muscles. Again, not to get too technical, but if your hamstring is tight, your quad has to overcome the tightness as well as the resistance of the pedal and body weight and all that. Does that make sense?
Is it true that they say cyclists or hamstrings are shortening?
Well, because
or is it,
again, that's where your bike fit comes into play a lot too. If your saddle is too low, you're never going to get a full extension of that knee and your hamstring. So because you're primarily in a sitting position, your hamstring, is going to be in a short state a lot of the time.
but does riding cause that more, or is it just coincidence?
No, I don't think it causes it more. Great question.
I've heard that before. Passing.
Yeah.
The active sitting increases hamstring tightness, period. So we were not designed to sit. We spend 6 to 8 hours a day sitting. So the more you sit, the tighter your hamstrings are going to get all day long. And I will tell you, I do not see back patients who don't have tight hamstrings. So they kind of go hand in hand. As your hamstrings get tighter, you have more back problems. So I think if you're hearing that bikers have more hamstring tightness, it may be more from the sitting posture, all right? But just sitting in general tightens your hamstrings.
And that's a great point. And your hamstring muscle, the muscle in the back of your leg, actually comes up into called the ischial tuberosity. It's your sitting bone. So the bone you sit on, okay? And if that's tight, I'm trying not to get too technical, but that's going to put your pelvis into this position. Well, nobody wants to be like that, and so our lower back muscles are going to counteract that and tighten this and that. And that's where the low back tightness is going to come into play. That's how your tight hamstrings cause tight low back. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Kind of a variation on that question. So I try to do low intensity running, believe it or not, don't laugh. So I almost never have hamstring tightness, but it's always the quads, even with bike fit. So never ever have hamstring issues. So
Good for you.
well, I mean, I don't, but sometimes I get quad soreness, right? So any thoughts on that, or is it just?
How do you stretch that?
I do a lot of chest and thigh stretching.
Okay.
Do a lot of that, and, primarily just getting over and And on the floor, just try to do chest to thigh. Okay.
That's
All right.
gonna stretch your glutes,
Yeah,
not your quads,
yeah.
okay? You're talking about just bringing your knee up like that.
No, just either standing up full on and just kind of getting,
That'll stretch
trying
your
to get
hamstrings.
the hams in the back, right? The hammies. I always feel like I do a decent job on that, but I somewhere I read where, you know, if your quads are tightening up, you need to shift some work maybe to the hams, but I don't know. So somewhere I read.
Well, okay.
That difference, that the
The
shifting.
quads and the hams are what we call counterforce. So in other words, your hamstring bends your knee, right? And your quad extends your knee. So in order for my quad to work, to extend, then my hamstring has to relax. Does that make sense? So if my hamstring's always tight, then my quad has to work tighter to overcome that tightness.
Yeah,
So, and the opposite is true as well. So in order to stretch your quad, you can do it standing. You can just do this right here, okay?
When you do that, isn't the anterior or posterior tilt of the pelvis important?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's just.
So what I like to do to help with that is you can get here, again, with your stretch strap or with your towel, whatever you want to use. So I just take it, I loop it around my foot, maybe, and then you can just land your stomach, okay? And so now we're going to go right here, and then we're going to do that quad, okay? Another muscle that's really, really important that we didn't really talk about is your hip flexors. Again, being tight from being in the sitting position so long. So you can take a towel roll, you can use a roller, something like that. Now you're going to get a little bit more of a stretch in the front of your hip, and you then do the same stretch. And you'll feel that a lot more in the front of your thigh.
Now, these are what you call static
These
stretches.
are static stretches.
Any
These
examples
will-
of dynamic?
We're going to go to those next.
Okay.
Yeah, the static stretches is the one you're going to try to use to increase your overall flexibility. So if you're having a lot of tight quad stuff.
Do we want to do the static after the ride?
Sure.
Okay,
Great
great.
time to do it.
Not necessarily before the ride, but
Correct.
after. Okay.
Yeah, just the research out there will just tell you that you want, the static stretching is not really preparing your muscles for that. Okay? Questions on those at all? So it's pretty quick, pretty simple. You know, hold it for 30 seconds, do 3 to 5 times, do it once a day. Not gonna take very long out of your day. Okay? Dynamics, okay? We can go over those.
Actually, one more question, standing half stretch, how would you show us that?
Great question. There's lots of ways to do it. You know, you can just do a forward lean where this is called a typical runner stretch. So I'm going to be stretching my left leg here, knees straight, heel on the ground, pointing at the foot pointed straight ahead, and maybe a little bit more weight on the outside of my foot. Since we relax the knee. You can use, we use wedges, but you can use curve or something, a wall, you know, where you put your foot up a little more. If I had a wedge, I'd be back here more. That's going to stretch both of the calf muscles. If you need to get, you can also do it with a bend. You get, but that's going to alleviate one of the calf muscles, stretch the other calf muscle. So that's, yeah, important stretches. Your calf and your hamstring are going to crisscross behind your knee. So if your calf is tight, your hamstring will be tight. Other questions? Okay, so if you look at that one page with the 4 pictures on it, so the dynamics, you're going to go through them. Just pick you a length that you want to do. Usually about 10 yards is pretty good. You're only going to hold these stretches for about 2 seconds, so it's pretty quick. Okay, so like the first one called the knee hugs, you're just gonna, you gotta have a little bit of balance. You're just gonna grab your knee, tuck it in as tight as you can. 1, 2, step. Other leg. 1, 2, step. Does that make sense? So I'm stretching, but I'm also making my muscles move. Okay? So that's the knee hug.
We put the TV there so it felt like you were doing it in your living room.
So then, like I got my 10 yards and I'm just gonna turn, I'm gonna go back the other way. These are called foot fannies. So the first one, I was gonna stretch my glutes, okay? And I wanna stretch my quads, so I'm gonna do a foot fanny. In 2 seconds, step. Okay? Bringing that knee back. Sometimes I'll put my hand in the air, I kind of get an overall stretch. Okay? Makes sense? So it's pretty quick. Then you want to stretch your hamstrings, you got your soldier walks. That's just keeping the knee straight. And just a nice little easy kick up. Not too fast, because you don't want to pull a hamstring. Does that make sense? Important that the knee stays real straight when you do that. Deal? Then we want to stretch those hip flexors. I think that's the next one, the front lunge stretch. So this one will stretch your hip flexor and your calf. If you keep your heel on the ground, now I'm going to get my calf in. If I let my heel come up, I'm going to lose the calf stretch. But it's just a little front lunge stretch. The back leg stays straight, heel on the ground. Bend my knee here, and now I'm going to stretch right here, and then my calf just lean back. And that will help stretch that hip flexor. Make sense? And again, it's about 2 seconds. Stretch the groin, that's just a side lunge, like this. And what I do is I combine this one with the IT band stretch. So this one is going to stretch my inner thigh here. And then I want to stretch my IT band. This is really important for runners, probably not as much for bikers since it's not weight bearing, but then I'll just cross over, and now I'll do my IT band stretch, and I'm looking towards a stretch right here. And so I'll just kind of combine that as I go in, stretch the right groin, left IT band, right groin, and again, just about 2 seconds, okay? Then I'll go back the other way. Now I'm going to stretch my left groin and my right IT band. Does that make sense? 1, 2, up and over. 1, 2. Okay. So you can do those dynamic stretches, like I said, about 10 yards, and it's going to take. It'll take less than a minute to do that. Nobody likes to stretch. Takes time. It's just no fun, but this is a quick, easy way just to get you stretched out and ready for work. You do anything else before you ride?
Yeah, I think I try to do like a dynamic warm-up routine myself. Some of the exercises are quite similar, but I do some more on the ground, like twisting my hip, like rotation. What do we call it?
And you do that in a dynamic format? Or you just kind of go
Yeah. Just moving, not so much stretching, but more like
and warm it up.
yeah, like moving.
Okay. Questions on those? Okay.
I would
So-
say as a bike fitter, just if I may interject, like that could take, what did you say, like 2 to 5 minutes maybe to do those exercises. That can have a profound compounding effect on you where if you just said, all right, today I thought I was going to ride an hour, I'm going to do 55 minutes and I'm going to do those 5 minutes of stretches before, what you'll find in a month or in 2 is you'll be doing that and you'll feel more comfortable to ride longer as well, is what I've seen happen. You know, as you can interject some of those things into your regular routine, it just ends up making you more comfortable, which makes you be able to ride longer, which I think a lot of us are trying to do. So, yeah. I tell people not to brush their teeth in the morning, do all this stuff that he's talking about. You haven't ate yet.
Depends on who you're riding.
Yeah.
So any questions on the stretching part of it?
How about post ride?
Post ride, that's where your static stretches are gonna come in more. Again, you can look and there's any number of static stretches that you can do. Your lower back, or hips. But yeah, the static stretching is gonna come any other time and post riding is a great time to do it. The one time you don't want to do any stretches, really, mostly the static stretches, is like when you first wake up in the morning, because everything is cold and tight from all night. And so your stretching is just not going to be very effective. Much better to get up and brush your teeth, drink a cup of coffee or a hot shower, whatever, something to warm you up and get you going. And then your stretching will be more effective. That's why it's so good post rides, is because your muscles won't be long and you're stretch a lot easier. Would you agree with that?
For the most part, I have some patients who, they can't get up until they start to do some stretches. So in certain cases, we go both ways. So I have my stretch every day.
And I noticed that older age, I have to stretch more. I was an athlete all my life, but the sports I were in, so after karate and track, we had to stretch before we even get out in the fields on the mats or anything. So stretching is a way of life. I don't stretch in the morning, just waking up doing ankle stretches. I'm like mummy. I keep a mat in my car, so if I'm doing a drive to like an hour drive to a race, I have to stretch when I go to the car.
Very cool. Okay, so I just try to get some simple strengthening exercises. Again, it's not to have to take too much time. And what we'll try to do is just kind of list the exercise and the muscles that are working. Does that make sense? Okay. So your squats is really a full body exercise. That's what they're so good at. The important thing on your squats is that you just don't go too deep. Okay. For a lot of reasons. I use these elastic bands a lot because for one, they cost about $5. They last for a long, long, long time. Easy to carry anywhere you want to go. So squats can be done, simple squat if you want, be in an athletic position, feet shoulder width apart, keep your back straight, and keep your pelvis tilted a little bit, and you just do your simple squat. A little below 90 degrees, kind of keep your heels on the ground, back up. You can use any type of weight you want, medicine ball, dumbbells.
What is the negative effect of going below 90 degrees?
How technical you want to get? The biggest reason I don't like to do it is for your kneecaps, okay? So there's been lots of studies out there, but when you get down to about 120 degrees or so of knee bend, you're putting just an enormous amount. Some people say it's 13 times the amount of whatever body weight that you have on a small spot on the back of your kneecap. And so if you have any problems with your kneecaps to begin with, you're really going to cause a lot of trouble with that. So that's some makes sense. And you're losing the effectiveness of your exercise as well. So another thing that you can do is just take your band, put it right here around above your knees, and again, you just do your squats. It's just a little added effect. And what this does is now I'm working a little bit more on my outer hips, keep my knees from being pulled forward. Again, for kneecap tracking, this is really good. You just do your squat. You can hold the dumbbells if you want to, hold your medicine ball, hold your bike. So make it simple. Okay.
If you can't hold your bike, you need to buy a lighter one.
Okay. Again, to try to strengthen your glutes, we're going to do what we call clamshells. So you're just gonna lay down, you're gonna get into what, basically a fetal position, okay? And then all you're doing is you're just doing a clamp. So we're going to clamp, so your feet stay together, your knees come apart, you're in about a 90-degree bend in the knee. Like I say, just a fetal position. The thing you don't want to do is rock back, because now you're using stuff you don't want to use. So we're just strengthening our hips and our glutes. Again, just coming up, holding it for a count, and back down.
Great exercise. Great.
And you're going to do that, of course, on both sides. Okay? What do I got next? Donkey kicks. So again, to strengthen the glutes, you're just going to lay on your stomach. To take the hamstring out and make the glute work, do the work, we're going to bend our knee. Okay? And so from here, we're just lifting our thigh up off the ground. You know, Suzanne Summers, most of y'all maybe not never heard. Okay? If you want to do more hamstring, you can just do the same thing with your legs straight. And now we're going to bring the hamstring in, because it's a hip extensor as well as a knee bender. Okay? What do we got next? Deadlifts, okay, for your hamstrings. You can use, again, medicine ball, dumbbell, got your deadlifts. Just going to work your hamstring, again, for your knee, your hip extensions. And so you're just going down, or if you feel like you can touch the floor, great. Trying to keep that knee locked straight as you can. Okay? So also it's going to help your lower back. Okay, don't want to get too heavy. Don't want to strain that lower back. So and again, you're going to do one leg, balance, and then the other leg. Okay? You know,
Exercise all along.
so, okay, again, these are great exercises. So, I do them in a kind of a series of 4. This one is really, we call them ham burners, because they will burn your hamstrings up. So you want to get here. This is going to again work overall core. And so we're here. You're going to bridge up. And then the first one is just leg rolls. You're just pulling in and pushing out. Trying to stay bridged up as much as you can. Now I'm working all core, working my glutes to help hold me up, and a lot of hamstrings to do the work. Okay? Second one that I do, again, it's just, we do these a lot in rehab for stability, but just again, core work is here, and we just simply leg legs. Okay? You want to make it harder. Your knees. This. Again, you can get these Swiss balls at 5 and below for $5. Okay? And then if you really want to work your core, you just grab here. You'll feel that really working up your abdominals. Questions? Again, you're not trying to do something that's going to take you all day to do. So, you know, you can run through a set or multiple sets, depending on what your goal is. Okay, for your calves, again, this is single leg heel raises. Do this again if you do that on something underneath the ball of your foot, you know, your block. And you're going to put more effort. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Pretty simple. That's the work of the calf. Push-ups, whether you do those regular style or you do them on your knees, same thing, trying to just work the chest, the triceps. Makes sense? You'll make it really hard, you can pull out your Swiss ball, or you can do it up here like this.
Terrible.
And then you're bringing in a little bit more core, because now I got to control that ball, okay? Other thing you can do is planks, either on the ball or just, regular planks. Okay, again, just working your core. Make sense?
Can you use your arms on the ball too?
To do push-ups? Sure.
What? Yeah, and plank as well, right?
Oh, sure.
Because that's where you can do some of the more like
Great.
stability introduced exercises. Which, if you can get to those points, that really helps you on the bike because the bike is such a, especially if you're a mountain biker, it's such a dynamic motion. So those are, I mean, super helpful.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what he's talking about?
Yeah.
They hurt a lot. Build up to it.
Do you think using that ball would be more beneficial than using a Bosu ball?
I think, I mean, if I may speak, I think if you can get to the point where you can do both at the same time, then you've really elevated to a pretty high level of core stability. Because you can put your feet on the Bosu ball and your arms on that, and that is
Great exercise.
yeah, asinine. It hurts.
So it's a good
Yeah.
question. The Bosu ball and the Swiss ball are designed to basically do the same thing.
Yeah.
Eric's right. This is a little bit more unstable than a Bosu ball is going to be because you can hold that Bosu ball a little more. Where now when I'm doing a push up on this, then I've really got control.
Yeah.
Um,
You'll feel new places.
but if you have both of them, that's great. Good thing is, like I said, you can get this at Five and Below for $5. You can get a Bosu ball for $100.
Yeah, they're a lot more expensive. Yeah.
So. Okay, and then we talked about the planks, stomach crunches. Again, you don't have to do, I don't know, but you tell me what you think about the full sit-ups. There's lots of different thoughts on that. But I will say that when you're gonna do a crunch or even a sit-up, to really make your exercise effective, you wanna tilt your pelvis first. So I can just do this all day long and I'm getting about half of what I want. But if I tilt my pelvis first, now I've already engaged my lower abdominal. It makes the exercise a lot more difficult and a lot more effective. Does that make sense? So just tilt up and you crunch. And down and relax. Tilt up and crunch.
The big thing there with the crunch is a lot of times you put your hands behind your head and you're cranking on your neck.
Yeah.
You're going to create a neck problem. So I tell folks, if you either hold them here,
That's what I
or you make a fist and put them by your ears, you can squeeze your head together as hard as you can. But you're not cranking on your neck.
Any questions? Well done. Okay. Again, try to make it simple. Try to make your riding fun. Whatever your reason for riding is, whether you want to be like Jonas and win all the races, or if you just want to just go ride with your friends. I mean, it all needs to be in his cover. It just needs to be about being fun. But being able to, be at a better performance and less likely to be injured, that's going to make it fun. And so I put this quote that I like to use at the bottom. It's just, you get in shape to play sports. You don't play sports to get in shape. With biking, it kind of goes both ways. Because you're biking to get in shape, but you're also getting in shape to bike. So, okay?
Awesome.
Questions? All right, thank you.